Bodyshot Performance. Welcome to this week's blog, which is all about gut health and the microbiome and why that's important for overall health. Before I come into that, just want to point your attention towards our latest podcast, Remove the Guesswork, Health, Fitness and Wellbeing for Busy Professionals. This week I interviewed James Routledge, and he runs a company called Sanctus, which is, I think his big thing is he wants to be the Nike of mental fitness. We have a fascinating conversation all about what James's experience has been with mental health, how he manages his own mental health, what his company does for other people, and what he thinks that companies should be doing in order to promote better mental health within their organisations. So check that out on iTunes, or you can stream it from our website, bodyshotperformance.com/resources, and then drop down onto podcasts. So to this week's blog. So what is the gut, first of all? What is the microbiome and the microbiota, and why is all this stuff important for health now? Well, the gut is nicknamed, or some would argue, is actually the first brain, but it's also known as the enteric nervous system. And the enteric nervous system is part of the overall nervous system, and it's the gut-brain axis is where the gut, or the enteric nervous system, communicates with the brain. So that's why it's believed to be the first brain sometimes. But you'll know this because if, for example, you've got butterflies, it's a nervous feeling, that's your gut communicating with your brain and your emotional system about how you're feeling. You feel things in your gut as well, you sense them, you have a gut feeling. So it's a profound connection between our emotional states and the gut and the brain. And the gut itself is colonized by bacteria. We are actually more bacterial than we are human. The microbiome is basically the organisms and the viruses that are contained in our GI tract. The microbiota, on the other hand, are the genes from the bacteria and the viruses. So that's the difference. We start to get bacteria into our bodies as young babies as soon as we basically are born, if we're born naturally. We also get some of those bacteria through breast milk. So we're already covered. Anyone that touches us when we're born, as soon as we're born, anything we come into contact with coats us in bacteria. And that's how we build up a decent gut bacteria or gut flora, but also how we develop a decent immune system. So a lot of that is down to the bacteria. Bacteria also help us to break out energy from food, for example. So those little things, these cells that are in our gut, and there are many of them, are really important for health. We're actually 10 times more microbial than we are human. So that's the kind of the ratio of human cells to microbes. As other fun facts, there are 100 trillion bacterial cells in the body, so it's believed. And the weight of all those cells and those microbes is actually 3 pounds, which is about the size of a human brain. So it's pretty massive. Gut health is really important because it's linked with autoimmune conditions. It's linked with MS, multiple sclerosis. It's also been linked with things like autism, irritable bowel disease. So we've associated actually the gut and the microbes with a number of different conditions. Physical and mental health are profoundly influenced also by the gut, mental health in particular. So it's believed that between 50 and 90% of all the serotonin that we have in the body is actually stored in the gut. And that explains as well why eating can be a comfort to us, because it triggers serotonin, which makes us feel good. So mental health and gut health very profoundly linked. So we're just really starting to understand that more. So what can you do to ensure that you have a good range of bacteria in the gut and good gut health? Well, there's several things. Number one, include lots of variety in your diet. So lots of plants, fruits, vegetables, good quality meats, just lots and lots of variety. Include a lot of fermented foods in your diet, like sauerkraut, for example. Have minimal amounts of antibiotics. So if you do have antibiotics, supplement afterwards with pro and prebiotics. More on that in a second. Avoid inflammation. So inflammation can be caused by things like sugar. Avoid that where you can. Eating foods that you're perhaps intolerant to, that causes inflammation, and that can disturb the types and diversity of bacteria in the body. Limit sugar for the similar reasons. Have minimal amounts of caffeine and alcohol, and moderate your stress. That can also cause a dysbiosis in the gut. So they're just a handful of ways that you can prioritise good gut health. As ever, if you've got questions, and I'm not an expert on this, but I can interview someone who is on the podcast, and we'll do that shortly. But if you have got any questions on any of that, write us an email to leanne@bodyshotperformance.com. Alternatively, you can go onto our Facebook page, Bodyshot Performance Limited. And if you want to enter our private members group, which is called The Green Room, you can also apply to enter that. We record live Facebook interviews with key people. So we had a baby sleep expert recently, an osteopath and clinical director the other week. We'll also post lots of interesting and original content that you can't get on our Bodyshot performance page. So that's it from me for this week. Let me know if you've got questions. Have a great week.